but couldn't explain why. A song starts playing. You've never heard it before, yet your heart clenches as if it were your melody. A passing glance, and suddenly your eyes fill with tears, not from pain, but because something ancient is returning. You're not making it up. You're not too sensitive. You're remembering, not with the mind, but with the soul. The soul doesn't remember like the brain. It doesn't store dates or timelines. It stores frequencies. It holds on to the things you once felt so deeply. They became part of your being. Dolores Cannon once said, "You are a soul with a body, not a body with a soul." And that soul did not begin in this lifetime. You don't have to believe in past lives to understand this. You only need to observe the emotions that keep repeating in you. You always feel left behind, no matter the relationship. You're afraid to speak your truth, even when you know you're right. You always feel something is missing. Though you can't say what it is, these aren't just personality quirks. They are unfinished vibrations, emotions that were never fully acknowledged, choices that were interrupted, and in the most unexpected moments, they return, not with drama, not with a warning, just a soft tap. On the memory of your soul, you keep dreaming the same dream. You're always late, always forgotten, always searching for someone you never find. You wake up, heart pounding, and you don't know why. It's not just a dream. It's a doorway, gently creaking open. You meet a stranger, but their eyes feel like home. It's not love. It's not enchantment. It's just, you know you've seen those eyes before. In a place you can't name. In Michael Newton's regression work, thousands of people described places, connections, and even some companions. They had no way of knowing in their current lifetime, but what mattered wasn't the information. It was the feeling that rose when they realized, I once chose this, and now I've returned, not to repeat it, but to complete it. You don't need to go back and relive the past. You only need to be fully present in the now and listen closely to the message within each emotion that returns. Maybe in another life, you were the one who left, and in this life, you're always the one left behind, not as some form of karma, but as a soul choice to learn compassion, forgiveness, and letting go. Maybe you once couldn't speak your truth. You were silenced, and now, in this life, your throat tightens. Every time you try to say something that matters. That's not a coincidence. It's an incomplete memory, coming back to be healed. Not all pain is new. Some of it is remembrance. Remembrance that doesn't come in words, but in sensations, in the breath that catches, in the glance that pierces you, in the feeling of something so familiar, you can't name it. You don't need to name it. You only need to stay with it and ask, if this is a piece of my soul's memory, what do I need to complete it this time? Because when you grow still enough to listen, symbols begin to appear, not like magic, but like inner signals, a number that keeps repeating, an ancient symbol you've never studied, yet it moves you to tears, a knowing you can't explain, but somehow you trust it. That's when your soul begins to whisper, we are remembering, and we are ready. Some moments seem meaningless at first, a number repeating everywhere you look, a symbol flashing through a dream, a phrase from a stranger that stops you in your tracks, and you've asked yourself, why now? Why does this feel like something I've heard before, known before? That's synchronicity. Carl Jung, the father of modern depth psychology, described synchronicity as a meaningful coincidence between an external event and an internal state, without clear causal connection, but filled with deep significance. You meet someone right when you're pondering something important. You see a symbol, at the exact moment your soul is asking a silent question. You dream of a strange image, then encounter it in the waking world, days later. This isn't magic. It's not about predicting the future. It's the invisible flow of energy, connecting your inner world to a larger field of intelligence. Jung called it the collective unconscious, a vast container of archetypes, ancient images, and symbols that humanity has touched throughout time. And when you begin to awaken, you don't just see your personal life. You begin to tap into this larger current of knowing. The image of a butterfly might be a sign of transformation. The number 1111 could be a confirmation that you're on the right path. An old song, an ancient glyph, a celestial pattern. These could be keys, opening memory not taught through intellect, but remembered through the soul. Dolores Cannon once said, "We've lived hundreds of lives. The soul remembers in ways the logical mind cannot grasp." So when your heart flutters unexpectedly today, when a gaze makes you stop breathing, it could be the soul's symbols rising again. You don't need to understand them right away. You just need to listen. When a symbol appears again and again, ask quietly within, what message is trying to reach me through this? Not to analyze, but to witness. Not to decode with logic, but to slow down and feel the deeper truth. I am being called home. Michael Newton, who conducted over 7,000 life-between-lives regressions, shared that repeating symbols are often soul-coded wake-up calls. Signals are planted long before birth. You chose to see that symbol. You chose to meet that person. You chose to fall into the moment, not to suffer, but to remember something. A lesson, a promise, a piece of yourself. Your soul isn't lost. It's simply guiding you back through seeds it planted long ago. But here's the thing. You must show up fully, without doubting yourself, without rushing to make sense of everything. Just be present in the realness of how you feel, because symbols don't speak the language of the left brain. They speak through intuition, through images, through energy. They appear when your mind is quiet enough, when you stop trying to force answers and instead simply listen from within. You may have dreamed of another planet. You may have written a character you've never studied. You may have heard a sound you couldn't name, but that made you cry. That's okay. There's no need to define it, because your soul is calling you back. And in this journey, you don't have to remember everything. You don't have to understand it all. You just have to not shut the door. Just stay long enough to hear the whisper completely. No one else can tell you what it means. No one can walk this path for you. But if something in this video made you pause, even for a heartbeat, then maybe your soul is quietly whispering back, yes, this is it. Keep going. In the end, not every question needs an answer. Not every experience needs to be explained. Some things only reveal themselves when you stay with them long enough. Maybe you still don't know. Who am I? Where did I come from? What should I do next? And that's okay. Not knowing is also part of awakening. This unknowing isn't confusion. It's an open space where your soul finally begins to breathe. You don't need to rush to become someone awakened. You don't need to prove you're evolving. You don't need the spotlight, the title, or anyone's validation. Real returning is always quiet. There are no trumpets. No one's waiting at the finish line. No shiny medal that says you made it. It's just one afternoon you sit down and realize you no longer need to run from yourself. You've been abandoned, disappointed. You've felt like a burden. You've thought you were a flaw in the universe. And yet, right here, right now, something is gently blooming within you. A part of you is beginning to forgive, not others, but yourself. You don't have to forgive because you should. You only need to breathe and accept the truth. I was hurt. I didn't know how to love myself. I lived in fear, and now I'm beginning to live differently, one small step at a time. It doesn't mean you're healed. It means you're willing to sit beside the parts of you that are still healing, like an old friend. And then you'll notice the patterns no longer threaten you. You don't have to escape them, because now you understand. They're just layers of memory, finding their way back to be seen, not to chase you, but to keep you present. Ram Dass once said, "We're all just walking each other home. Maybe you're feeling lonely, but truthfully, you were never alone. Because every person you've met, even the ones who hurt the most, might just be old soul friends, playing their role in your soul's theater. They didn't come to save you or to destroy you. They came to knock on the door you've long kept locked. And when you opened it, you didn't find anyone else, just a younger version of yourself, sitting there, waiting for a hug. Sometimes, awakening isn't a journey upward. It's a quiet, sitting down, deeply, patiently, with the parts of you you once rushed past. Maybe you're still asking, so after all this, what do I do now? I don't have a concrete answer for you. Only this invitation. Start by not abandoning yourself anymore. Take slower walks. Let the tears fall if they need to. Hold your recurring dreams. Instead of trying to erase them, write down a question you can't yet answer and let it stay. Not everything you feel is a problem. Sometimes it's just a soul memory, trying to come back. Not to disturb you, but to remind you, you still remember. You don't have to chase the light, because you are the light. Walking through the dark, just to see yourself more clearly. And if there's one last thing I could say in this video, maybe it's this: don't close the door that just cracked open. Maybe it was just one detail in this video, an image, a feeling, a word. Even if you didn't fully understand it, let it rest in your heart like a seed. Because sometimes, just one small vibration, it is enough to shift the entire direction of a soul. Are you ready to listen more deeply to what's rising within? Because the next memory might not come as a person, but as a dream you can't forget. You've stayed with us until the very last minute. I don't have answers, no hidden truth to pass on, only this presence and this whisper. Thank you for being brave enough to come home to yourself. You didn't just survive it, you invited yourself home, and that is the real return.